All right, today we're gonna make papas con garbanzo. This is a Colombian dish. We're gonna finely dice 1 large onion, 2 tomatoes, some garlic, and 1 red bell pepper, but I'm gonna put 2 just because I have to use both of these. And we're gonna get our pan going. It's gonna be on high, and it needs to be a dry pan. We don't cook with oil. Okay, so finely dice your vegetables and then add them to your hot pan. All right, so I've got all of my chopped up ingredients in there. We've got 2 tomatoes, 1 bell pepper. I chose to use the other one tomorrow. 1 large onion and some garlic. It's all chopped up finely and added to the pan. We're sauteing this for around 12 minutes. If you find that things are sticking to the bottom of the pan, just add a tiny bit of water. And we're gonna saute that for 12 minutes, and then we're gonna add some seasonings. Okay, and here are the seasonings. So some of these are difficult to find, but you can probably find them online. This one is probably the most important one. If you don't put this into it, this is not gonna taste good. Okay, so this is sazón Goya con azafrán, which is saffron. We've got a little bit of cumin. We're gonna put probably about a teaspoon of that. We've got this, which is a salsina seasoning. It's cumin, pepper, and garlic. Okay, and then we've got this, which is granulated mushroom bouillon. It's basically just granulated mushroom and MSG to give you a really meaty taste. Okay, so these seasonings are pretty important for this dish. If you don't have these seasonings, this won't taste that good. So please make sure that you have these. You can find these online. So we're gonna put a full packet of this. Probably put, this will just put to taste as if it were salt. We're gonna use this like salt. So maybe like a teaspoon of this to start. And if you need to add more, add more. Probably put about a teaspoon or half a teaspoon. Yeah, half a teaspoon of cumin. And about another half teaspoon of this, okay? All right, so this has been cooking for about 15 minutes, and then I've added my seasonings in there, as you can see. Like I said, please make sure you have the seasonings or this is not gonna taste good, okay? I tried making this without those seasonings and it tasted bad. So try to find those. The most important one is the Goya saffron seasoning, right? So these packets right here. These ones. You can find these online. So now we're just gonna stir this up a little bit, cook it for another 2-3 minutes with the seasonings in there, and then we're going to chop up some potato and add it into here, and then add some water. All right, so now I'm cubing up my potato. You wanna make sure you use sort of like a waxy potato and not a baking potato. Because if you use a baking potato, this is all gonna turn into mush. But if you use a waxy potato that is meant for soups or stews, then it will hold its shape. So first what I do is I cut my potatoes like this into big chunks. Okay, so I basically have it like this, and I chop it down like that into discs like this. Okay, it's pretty thick. And then I chop it into French fries, and then I chop it again this way into cubes so that they come out like this. Okay? So I'm gonna chop up all my potatoes and then add them to my stew. Here's another tip for chopping your potatoes properly. If you're having trouble having the potato stand up without it moving too much, what you can do is just chop a small piece from the bottom, like this, and then you can have it just stand up like this, and then you can chop your discs first. All right, so I finished chopping up my potato. You can see how big the cubes are. I like to use smaller cubes because that way it cooks faster. I'm gonna rinse this under the sink for a little bit just to get rid of that extra starch. So I'm gonna rinse these potatoes a bit, and then I'm gonna put them in my pot and then fill up the pot with some water. All right, so I've added my potato to the pot after rinsing it. I'm going to add water to cover them up. And I'm going to let the water come to a boil. So I'll go ahead and put the lid onto the pot. And just wait for the water to come to a boil. All right, so our stew is boiling. We're probably gonna boil this for around 25 minutes to half an hour. And then we're gonna check on the potato to see if it's finished cooking. And once we do that, then we will add in our garbanzo beans or our chickpea beans and boil that maybe for another 10 minutes, and then we should have a finished dish. All right, so here are my cooked chickpeas. I made my chickpeas from scratch, but if you get them in a can, you can do that as well. So I just drained them and rinsed them, and then they're gonna go into my stew. All right, so we've added the garbanzos to our stew and mixed everything up. Now we're gonna let this boil for about another 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, and the stew is finished. I usually have this stew, the papas con garbanzo. I usually have it with a side of rice. It's one of my favorite dishes, and I have this about once every 2 weeks. So I hope you guys like it. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment down below, subscribe, and like the video. Thanks. All right, so there's the finished product. We've got the papas con garbanzo, and I've added some cilantro in there. We have some very spicy roasted salsa, and I have it with a side of rice. Also put a bit of lime in there. So hopefully you guys like it. This is one of my favorite dishes. If you do, let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.